This program is sponsored by Safe Life Experience Consult Limited. Contact them for all your travel and tour needs, as well as your events.
The program is Conversation with Augustus, and I'm happy that you are joining me. I hope and trust that you are doing well. Some weeks ago, the Metropolitan Archbishop of Accra, Most Reverend John Bonaventure Kofi, announced at a day conference held for all DEPSECOM directors in Ghana that the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference have agreed to set up a national Catholic television. And this is what we are going to talk about today. My guest is the Executive Director for the Department of Social Communication at the National Catholic Secretariat, Very Reverend Father Diodone Kofi Dabo. Father, you're most welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much, Augustus.
Now, the Bishops' Conference, they've agreed to set up a Catholic television station. Why have they been waiting for such a long time before agreeing to set up a national Catholic television station?
You are right in asking why it took the Catholic Church in Ghana such a long time. It is not as if it is only now that the bishops have decided to set up a television channel, Catholic in nature. There have been attempts in the past, but it is because these attempts were met with some difficulties. That is why it took so long a time for us to be arriving at where we are now. What I can add is that, yes, it is long overdue, but the most important thing is that we should better be late than never.
Oh, okay, better to be late than never. But could you tell us what was some of the delays?
Okay, first of all, I hope you know that religious groups and political parties are not allowed to acquire radio frequencies and television channels. And so that was one of the major difficulties for which the church wasn't able to fully start its own television or radio station. The attempts that were made in the past, as I said, were to fall on some organizations such as the Knights and Ladies of Marshall, Knights of St. John and their Ladies Auxiliary to form an NGO to be able to access these frequencies or channels. But that one too, because of the knowledge the regulators had at the time, they didn't allow the process to go through. These are some of the challenges that made it impossible in the past. This started as far back as 1995. And it is one of those attempts that led to the Kali Digest being instituted, and it also came for its challenges later.
If I understand you clearly, it has to do with the issue of law.
Yes.
That has prevented the church from setting up its own TV station for this. But we have politicians who also own media houses. So why is that the law is, if I know you're not a lawyer, but I just want to ask this. So why is it that the law is preventing religious bodies from having a television station, but politicians are allowed to have a media house?
If you should do your background check well, you will realize that even though there are some politicians who own media houses, they didn't own those media houses in the name of any political party. That is why I said that even though the church is not permitted, there can be NGOs, there can be societies in the church, if they are registered well, who can acquire such frequencies and channels in the name of the church. So you realize that we have some of these stations all over, but they are not in the name of the churches or in the political parties, but they are individual names or in a group of either entrepreneurs coming together or one way or the other. So it is not the political parties. It is not the churches by name that acquire these frequencies.
The bishops tried using the Knights of St. John and Marshall, forming an NGO, but it didn't work.
Yes, it didn't work because at the time the regulators know that this was the intention, and so all they did was to ensure that the license was not given, and it's like they have decided to frustrate.
So then there's a bit of biasness or something of that sort somewhere, because a politician belongs to a party, he owns a media house, he can use a media house for his political agenda. A church too could, but Father, let's put it on hold for now and let's go on with the conversation. But I know that the Catholic Digest was set up by the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference, but to a certain period of time, you realize that it was only Accra Archdiocese that was involved in actually making sure maintaining the Catholic Digest. So would this one be the same thing? Oh, they've agreed, and at a point in time, the bishops may decide to let's stay by it, let's Accra do it.
It's a very good question, Augustus. The good news about this very new Catholic television channel that is about to be started is that the bishops decided to make it laity centered. And so the bishops' decision is that this should be owned by the laity from the very beginning. It is not supposed to be one of the projects that they have initiated in the past where it got to a point and it was difficult to manage it. So from the very beginning, this is going to be solely managed by the laity. And I'm happy to inform you that it has come a very long way. A lot of things have gone into the preparations, and it is not as if we are starting everything afresh. So, for instance, with this new news television channel, there is already a pure and clear business plan as to how it should be managed and how it can be viable and remain very viable and won't die off as it was in the case of some other projects that were initiated by the conference.
Does it mean that there's a clear business plan in place for this to make sure that it doesn't feel as the first attempt did? So would the bishops set up a new media house? Because I'm asking this question because we have a lot of archdioceses and dioceses that have their own media outlets, like the CTK media for Kumasi Archdiocese. I know when you go to the north, some of them have NGO radios,
community
radios and radio station. I can talk of Radio Angelus in Accra and other media houses. Are you bringing all these media houses together to make sure that we have one Catholic media house, or the bishops are setting up a new media house or a new television station?
Thank you, Augustus. The very references you made, you realize that many of them are online media houses that the various archdioceses and dioceses are trying to reach out to the Catholics and the general populace through this means. We are talking about a television channel now, which is going to be dedicated channel, a 24-hour dedicated channel that has the national character. And as you have rightly said at the beginning of this interview,
so it is the main reason why all the DEPSOCOM directors were brought together for this stakeholders engagement.
So that already from the beginning, they will understand that they are key stakeholders in this new venture, in this new project, because they are the ones who are going to produce content from the various archdioceses and dioceses to feed into this very new Catholic television channel that we are talking about. That is what is supposed to be, and that is how the national character is supposed to come out.
Okay. So let me ask you, how much is it going to cost the bishops to set up this TV station? And secondly, what will be the name for this TV station?
Thank you very much. It is very capital intensive, I must admit. The Archbishop of Accra has been gracious to give a facility that belongs to the Archdiocese already to be used. So we are talking about only setting up studios and other gadgets that are needed, and it is all to the tune of almost $110,000. We are talking about almost 700,000 Ghana cedis. This excludes salaries and other day-to-day running costs. So for us to be able to take off, we need about 700,000 Ghana cedis.
Oh, okay. And what is going to be the name for this um, television
It's going to
station?
be called Lumen Christi Television.
Ah, Lumen Christi Television. But we
Yes.
already have Lumen Christi Television running.
Lumen Christi Television that is running is test running, yes, as you have said, but it is the name of the channel that is going to be for the National Catholic television channel, Lumen Christi Television Ghana, because as we talk now, Nigeria also has the same channel known as Lumen Christi Television.
Yeah, very true, and it's very disheartening to hear this, because I remember that there was this Nigerian priest who came actually, and Brother Stephen actually introduced him to us. He came looking at the place, how we were doing it. And he told us, Nigeria was also going to do the same thing, and we even mentioned the name to him, Lumen Christi, and we sat down for them to go do it, and they took the name. In fact, they adopted it from us, and they are now running, and they've been running for some couple of years now. And sometimes when I watch DSTV and I see Lumen Christi Nigeria, and I start crying out. So in all this, we thank God that we are now going to have our own national Catholic television, which is going to help us. But what is going to be the nature of programs we will be seeing?
The program is going to be a combination of religious and secular programs. So it's not going to be only church thing. As I indicated, to be a commercial station, but the content will take the care of all the religious needs of the church, and also meet the secular needs as well. So it's the programs will be such that there will be programs that will inform, that will form, that will bring about the needed transformation, and also for the purposes of entertainment as we go about our work of evangelization as well.
We have a lot of religious TV stations in Ghana. I want to find out how different would the Catholic or Lumen Christi Ghana be from that we've been seeing on TV.
I am happy you said that we have a lot of religious television stations. The first difference is that this is going to be national in character, so it will bring on board all the diversities. You'll have the privilege of being informed about what is happening. For instance, in the Archdiocese of Tamale, you have the privilege to be informed about what is happening in Donkokrom. You have the privilege to be informed about what is happening in Ho. You have the privilege to be informed about what is happening in Wiosu. You have the privilege to be informed about what is happening in Cape Coast, in Accra, in Kokorida. So this is national in character, and then those diversity, the liturgy and all the other things that come on board makes the content richer than the one we think that we have seen on other levels.
Thank you so much, Father. But I would also want to find out, should we expect a radio station in the near future?
Yes, I'm happy to inform you that actually when the presentation was made to the Bishops' Conference about the setting up of a Kali television channel, the radio aspect was also added. But as we have all realized the capital intensive nature of what we are doing, we are taking one step at a time. When we are able to finish with the establishment of a Catholic television channel, the next on the agenda is to go for the radio channel as well.
Thank you so much, Reverend Father Diodeno Kofi. But before we leave, could you do you have any words you would want to share with our listeners?
Anyway, thank you. You know that if there is anything that the COVID-19 pandemic has taught us as a church or has brought to bear so far as the Catholic Church in Ghana is concerned, it is that it has actually exposed us. The fact that we don't have any of these national television or radio channels to be able to reach out to our people directly. And it is one of the reasons why there cannot be any better time for us than to ensure that we all get involved. It is the laity who cried the most when they were not able to have access sacramentally to the masses and all the other liturgical activities. And that is why the bishops have decided to bring them on board and ensure that they own this very project. And so I would like to appeal to all the laity that if it comes to the time when we call on them to support this dream so that it is realized, they should give the necessary support so that the project will take off well for the Catholic Church in Ghana to also boast of having owned one of the many television channels that we have.
And that was the executive director for the Department of Social Communication at the National Catholic Secretariat, Very Reverend Father Diodene Kofi Dabo, throwing more light on the decision made by the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference to set up a national Catholic television. And that television will be called Lumen Christi Ghana. But before we go, I would also want to say that the National Electoral Commission has actually is compiling the national register. And please, if you are 18 years and above, kindly go and then register. If you are below 18 years, please don't go. And if you are, in fact, planning of pushing someone who is below 18 years or a non-Ghanaian to register for the voters ID, please kindly resist from that. The voters register is for only Ghanaians, and please let us do well to help our country grow. And also, I would also want to say that the Metropolitan Archbishop of Accra has made some appointments. First of all, he has chosen Father Blaise Atachi to become the Depsocom Director for Accra Archdiocese, and Father Hesse would also become the Director for Health in the Archdiocese of Accra. Let us join them in prayers and help the Archdiocese to also grow. Thank you so much for watching the conversation. My name is Augustus Akins. We'll make a date at the same time next week. Adios.
This program was sponsored by Safe Life Experience Consult Limited. Contact them for all your travel and tour needs, as well as your events.